Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, folks, we're just going to wait a couple more minutes for Councilor McFarland to join us.
Can you hear me better now? No. Can you hear me better now? Oh.
Okay. All right, folks, we're going to get started, and we'll just note that Councilor McFarland has yet to join us. All right, folks, we're going to call the Common Council Finance and Community Development meeting of April 8th, 2021. The time is now 5:03 p.m. All members are present except for Councilor McFarland. First order of business, does everybody have the agenda? A copy of the agenda? Okay, thank you. First order of business is approval of the minutes of the March 11th, 2021 Finance and Community Development Committee. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Canales. Any changes, deletions, updates? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 2.1, draft resolution authorizing budget transfer, general fund, fire department, paramedic training program expenses, page 1. Take a motion. Motion by Councilor Canales, second by Councilor Gibbs. Discussion.
Yep, could we, I see that Chief Lawless is here. Could he give us an explanation for this?
Yeah, absolutely. When the MOA was signed on December 15th, there was no change to the budget to allot for the training costs. That was pushed forward, and this is to offset the cost. We're going to pull it out of, Richard has been working on it. We're going to pull it out of fire repairs or repairs to motor vehicles.
So my question is, this doesn't affect the fund balance then? This is just a budget transfer within fire department, is that correct?
That is.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Let's see. Item 2.2, draft resolution for budget transfer from the general fund police motor vehicle repairs. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Canales. Discussion.
Yes, can we get an overview on this one as well?
Yeah, this is simply a insurance claim that's going to go back, insurance against a motor vehicle property, and that's going to go back into motor vehicle repairs.
How did the vehicle get damaged?
It was a fender bender. I don't have all the details on it, but it was an accident, and we have $1,000 deductible, so we've got $3,420 in costs, but we have $2,420 that we're putting into estimated revenues and vehicle expenses to help defray the cost of repairing the vehicle.
Was this car number 302?
I'm not certain of that. I would have to ask, and I just don't have those details right handy right now.
The reason I asked is because we were asked to sign a bill today for repairs to a car 302.
Yeah, that probably is right, Counselor Kelly. It's about $3,400 on that PO, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was a little bit confusing, Richard, because it seems like it was the amount we were getting from insurance was only about $1,500.
We've actually got two insurance recoveries in this situation. We've got the 1,500, which I think was net of $1,000 deductible, and then there was another $500 that we also had coming in to take it to like 3,400, and then the $1,000 deductible takes it down. There was two claims put in for the vehicle, I believe.
Where does the other $1,000 come from?
It's going to come out of their existing budget for motor vehicle repairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They already have some in there, but what this does just increases it because it's an unexpected expense for repairs to get the damaged vehicle fixed.
Are there any other police repairs that are car repairs that are pending? Are we all caught up now?
I think this catches us up, and I can find out. Melissa Lucia usually keeps very good track of all that, but this was the last budget adjustment she asked me to put through to fix this vehicle.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One to the negative, the Councilor McFarland. Carried. Item 2.3, draft resolution authorizing budget transfer for major budget adjustments for telephone cost reallocations, pages 3 and 4. Motion. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Canales. Discussion.
Yes, this one's very lengthy and involved, so I was hoping we could have a discussion on it. Is the purpose for this, I see a bunch of decreases from all these various lines. Is this because you are working on the IT contract that is resulting in a reduction of these other line items, or am I reading that wrong?
As a point, just to clarify, the IT contract that we're working on is managed service contract for server monitoring and user support. So that's a complete separate service than both data and telephone. This is specific to telephone service. You'll see a number of decreases and increases. The decreases indicate a savings in those departments, and increases indicate a transfer into those funds to cover expenses. And then Richard can also discuss any specific line item in here that's of question.
So Mr. Mayor or Richard, is the amount, so like, I'll pick one, the increase, general fund appropriated fund balance 1-0599, it says 3,401. Is that how much it's increased or what it's increased to? Is it the final number or just the amount of the increase?
That's the net impact of all of the increases that you see in that first budget adjustment, even including the rec complex funding. That's the net impact of the general fund. It's going to cost $3,401. And the majority of this work is being done because there was a lot of complaints in the last 2 or 3 years from all the department heads who were impacted by, the increasing phone costs and the managed IT costs that were also being allocated to the telephone accounts. They were complaining that they're being overcharged because we were allocating it based on telephone lines and also based on computer connections. So we went back and took a look at the phone bill and said, what's the appropriate way to allocate this? If nobody really wants to say, okay, they want to pay based on the connection, where do the charges really reside? And basically what you're seeing is an allocation adjustment for this year's budget to have the costs all hit where they mostly reside, which unfortunately, there's 3 Ethernet connections in the rec complex, which are $300 a month each. So they're getting the lion's share of the cost of, the telephone, voice over IP, Ethernet connections. The usage is unlimited. Fire department has never been charged for one, so that's why you see their budget going up, because they have an Ethernet connection there as well. You see most of the city hall budget's going down because there's one Ethernet connection for City Hall. And of course, that's the one that's used the most by the most people. And you'll see also that the water fund is getting hit for 17,206, which, you know, indicates that they've got 2 Ethernet connections. And the sewer department has one. The library's going down because they have one and they've been overpaying. So basically, this is a cost reallocation based on all the complaints we heard for the last several years from department heads about being overcharged. Worst case here is that the rec complex is the big user, but they don't have any people there using them anymore.
Yeah, that was my next question. If there's 3 and each one is $300 a month for a total of $900 a month, why can't we just cancel those Ethernet?
That's a good question. Sorry, go ahead, Mayor.
Yeah, to address that, there's a couple of reasons why. One is, you know, as we all know, there's an ongoing conversation to rent out the rec center, and that line may service that, may continue to service the rec center, just depending on the use of that line. There is a conversation for reimbursement of that line into the rec center, and, you know, that will be a wash based on that lease. The other one is the beach. And, you know, we still use internet at the beach for the vendors, the vendor building, and then for the public Wi-Fi. The third one is for the marina, and there's still some details getting worked out on the vendor that's currently leasing those the marina slips to use that line, and so we're still trying to work that out with them. At the end of the day, 2 of those could certainly go away, just depending on the use of the vendor using those facilities.
$300 a month sounds pretty steep for one Ethernet connection.
Those are good prices, we're being told. Matt's even confirmed that with discussions with our newest rep from it's First Light is now the name of the phone company.
That's the new one that was installing 2 years ago, right? I know we approved someone to install wires on. Am I correct in this? I remember hearing First Light about 2 years ago. They wanted to install wires onto telephone poles. Am I correct? They're the new one in the town, right?
Right. And they bought out PrimeLink, and they took over operations of PrimeLink, I believe, first of this year. And so we started getting billed from First Light January 1st, where we used to get billed from PrimeLink. Our prices stayed exactly the same. We have contracts in place for wire that was strung, and, you know, there's certain expirations that are happening on some of these Ethernet connections. So we're looking at canceling those that aren't going to be needed, but certainly there's a lot of discussion about the rec complex items that we may still need to have in place. So we're looking at those, like the mayor said.
Does anyone know when our contract with First Light ends?
There's various dates. One goes out to April of 2022 for the connection at Miller Street, I believe. And I think also at Green Street. Those connections don't even exist anymore, but we still have those contracts in place. We're canceling those because they don't exist. So we're going to get some cost reduction there through MLD. I believe, Matt, do you know the dates on the marina and the beach and the rec and the gym?
The beach, I believe, is sometime next summer. The gym and the marina expiration dates are actually this summer. I believe they both expire in June.
Good memory, thanks.
My advice would be, you know, as a retired IT person, that was always one of the places, every place I've ever worked, that we tried to find savings was in the cost of internet connections. And I would say that should all go out to bid if possible. A bundle would be nice. I understand there are different expiration dates, but, you know, let our local vendors compete for our business. Verizon's a big player now in internet connections, and from what I understand, they're high quality, and they might be good to talk to them, as well as others, you know, as well as First Light and all the providers.
I have a question about maybe over a year ago. PrimeLink, we approved a resolution for PrimeLink. They wanted to provide, they wanted to set up Wi-Fi at City Hall to provide free public Wi-Fi to at least the areas surrounding City Hall, mostly Trinity Park. Is that still going on?
I don't believe so. I think that was only a 6-month agreement, and they said they were going to remove that, once the pandemic was over. Now, don't take me for, complete word on that. They could still have that connected, but we're not committed to continue that beyond what they deem to be the end of the pandemic crisis.
Wonder when that's going to be.
That's a good question. And I know that service is being provided for free, but if we didn't terminate that, they were going to start billing us for it at some point in time. So we made clear in that contract that it was not to be billed to the city if it was going to continue beyond the pandemic.
And these places where we do have Ethernet connections, are we providing free public Wi-Fi from our connections at those places? So I know the library must have free Wi-Fi, but I'm thinking the beach, the marina, the gym when it's open, things of that nature.
Yes, we do
Yeah.
have publicly accessible Wi-Fi at all 3 of those locations.
And here in City Hall.
So my last question about this is, with all of this adjustment, so I'm looking at the notes on the resolution. There's going to be a transfer to the rec complex fund budget for approximately $47,000 as a result of this. Is that correct?
That's correct. That'll be on the interfund revenue charge to the general fund. That's the last line at the top part of the entries where you see transfer rec complex. And then the revenue will go into the rec complex and increase the telephone budget. The net cost to the general fund for that would be the $3,400 top line because of the reductions in the other costs for the other budget line items.
Okay, thank you.
And it's unfortunate we have to send those funds over there, but it just, it's just not funded for the expenses to the extent that we're seeing them right now. There's a lot of other things in rec complex that just aren't budgeted for the expenses we're seeing. And we're going to be adjusting that throughout the year, unfortunately.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 2.4, draft resolution authorizing revised capital project H8320.79-2019 water system improvement, pages 5 and 6. I'll take a motion. Motion by Councilor Canales, second by Councilor Gibbs. Discussion. As we last infrastructure meeting, there was a change to the capital project balance for water system infrastructure. This is a transfer to cover that change in that capital project. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Item 2.5, March monthly finance report. If you all did receive, I did send out 3 reports today. Did you all receive those? Okay. I am going to, let's see here. I'm going to share my screen so we can review at least the month-end report for March. Give me a moment. Okay, folks, you should be able to see. I Can't see you yet, but you should be able to see my screen, which is titled City of Plattsburgh Revenues and Expenditures for March 2021. Can you all see those? Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, so this is a report it's a 25% report essentially from March, and it covers the entire year. As you can see in that first page is the comparison between the actual and the budgeted amounts. It covers the major funds that we account for. In total, if you just look at the top general fund compared the budgeted versus actual, right now, 25% through the year, we're about $432,000 up from budgeted, or from what we're expecting to have in the account. That's in the general. We're about $27,000 up in rec complex, 30,000 up in parking lot, 92,000 down in water, 430 down in sewer, and 13,000 up in library. The second page, if you scroll down to the second page, compared to 2020, the same time last year, the respective numbers are actual versus in the net results of the actual. So compared to last year, we're about $1 million or so in the positive.
Why is that?
Pandemic. It could be part of the pandemic. You see a number of general fund increases, and then the parking lot increases as well. Part of that is the parking lot special assessment district, but also, we've been, quite frankly, we've been enforcing our downtown parking constraints, as well as the parking ban. Last year, where we were a bit more hesitant to do those types of things.
We also received a state aid payment of $390,000 unexpected as a refund against the AIM reduction for last year. So that's helped the revenue this year. And the revenues are coming in at a better pace than last year. And I believe it's got to do with the timing of the virus crisis last year.
Mm-hmm.
Does any of the parking include the 825 FRB grant?
Go ahead.
Yeah, that would not include any FRB revenues. I believe, Richard, most of those reimbursements will be spread out among several capital projects rather than in the parking fund.
Well, one of the things in the parking fund that the mayor brought up this afternoon, we were talking about it. I normally adjust for the collections for the real property tax item for the parking lot, which is the SAD fund. Money's coming in for the 70,000 downtown and the 14,000 that's out on the oval. So those are coming in a little bit quicker than they did last year. So that adjustment isn't as large. So the collections have been stronger there, but there's also been $19,000 in fines and forfeited bails, mostly in the neighborhood of parking revenues against a budget of only $30,000. So that's a big impact on the parking fund for this year.
Well, I guess I was wrong because I was preaching that we shouldn't budget that too high because we probably won't get that many revenues in. So
we're only about 11,000 down from the total year budget right now. So I think that, the fines and forfeited bails, the parking fines are going to come in probably in the neighborhood of 50,000.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because they weren't being enforced last year.
That's the main reason. Yes, it was all called off last year, and this year, it's back to normal business.
I did have a chance to review this a little bit this afternoon before the meeting, and
Yep.
I just have one question, and it concerns the water fund. That we made some changes last year to the water fund billing, and we expected to see an increase in revenue from that. And it doesn't look like it's materialized, at least not yet. So I wonder, what's the story with the water fund? Seems like it's always been a concern of ours that, it has run in the deficit for, I guess, a couple of years.
One of the things at this point in the year that impacts the original or the initial results is we have to do an accrual for the entire month of December, pretty much for the usage that is billed in January. And that has an impact on the beginning revenues for water, sewer, and for refuse when we start the year off. That begins to catch up towards the end of the year, obviously, and it gets caught up at the end of the year because of the timing of those accruals. So that's having a negative impact on it. Those impact demand charges have been added in, they are being billed, and they're going to start to have an impact with the cash growing in the water fund as we expected it to, but it's going to take a little time for it to materialize. The change for the year should amount to roughly $600,000 of additional revenue. But, if you're looking at that over a year's time, it's going to only add about, $50,000 a month. So it'll take a little time.
So, okay, well, we can continue to watch that for the remainder of the year, and hopefully we'll see a positive result at the end of the year for the water fund.
I think we will. Obviously we've had some complaints about that you've all heard about for the impact demand charges, but on the whole, and John Ruff is certainly, he can add more to it than I can about the, discussions with customers. We've heard complaints about it and we say, hey, there's not much we can do about it. And John's looked at a few and they've adjusted one, but it is going to have a positive impact, which is necessary to getting that fund built back up for operating cash as well as for cash that we need to put aside for improvements.
Thank you, Richard.
John, do you have anything to add?
Well, if I'm reading it correctly, the actual water revenue through from March 2021 is $768,000. The next one up. Okay, right? That's for this year, 768?
Yes.
As opposed to this time last year, the actual revenue was $100,000 less. So if I'm reading that right, we've got more money that's come in this year to date as compared to last year.
Yes.
But I think we budgeted more, so the percentage of revenue expected might be a little skewed.
Yeah, the other thing to note is the budgeted piece to this. As you can see, the expenditures specific to that fund is at 860 currently, and it's budgeted for 890. So we're pretty close to 100% of the budgeted expenditures. But the actual revenues, we still have another $300,000+ to make up in the budgeted revenue, and so we're still looking at another increase of about $300,000 or so throughout the year. So with a net result of about 150. So we're well on track to current in terms of the budgeted versus actual. We're well on track to surpass or to meet the budgeted revenue for that fund.
And John's point is a good one. We are 100,000 ahead, and that would pretty much bear out that the impact demand charges are having their $50,000 a month increase, even though it's 3 months. Like I said, the first month is usually offset by the accruals from December.
Yeah, and both the water and sewer fund revenues and expenses, until you get to about 6 months into the year, they vary widely from year to year. But pretty much by the end of the year, they always shake out. So we'll keep a close eye on it, Mike, and I'm sure you will too. And we'll just keep looking at it every month and making sure it's on track to settle itself down.
Yeah, I just love to see that fund balanced out, John. We struggled a little bit with it over the past few years. So.
If you look at the overall, budget for this year compared, we're in very, very good shape. adding a number of items back into the budget, back into the fund balance. But if you take some time to dig through this report, you'll find that you'll certainly find that it's trending positively. There was a number here, total annualized spending for payroll specifically. Right now, to date, we've expended 9.5 million in budgeted. Right, Richard? That's right. Compared in this quarter.
Yeah, that would be the
end of this
annualized.
period.
That's taking the current
Correct.
payroll expense for basic payroll and annualizing it, saying, okay, if this is how it was going to play out for the
Correct.
whole year,
Correct.
it's only 82% of the budgeted payroll.
Correct.
$1,599,000. So we're running at a pace lower than the budget, which is also
Correct.
very, very encouraging.
About 18% less than what was budgeted. We're running a little bit leaner than we budgeted for. So we're in very good shape in terms of payroll. Same thing with overtime. You can see specifically, say like police, we're at 21% used of the budgeted overtime for a total of $32,000 compared to say 2021, where we're at $66,000 during that time, or $51,000 during the year before. So this is very comprehensive. I know there's a lot of numbers in this, and if you want to spend some more time with this, I'm more than happy to have a one-on-one or sit down and review any questions that you might have further. Anybody have any more questions about this report? Okay, moving on to item 3.1, draft resolution authorizing the Chamberlain the transfer for rec complex fund beach materials and supplies and contract services, page 7. Motion, Councilor Canales, second by Councilor Gibbs. Discussion. Councilor Gibbs, you're on mute.
Sorry. What
No
is
problem.
what is this going to be allocated to take care of exactly? It says it just says beach materials and supplies. So could we get a more clarification on that?
Sure.
Sure. There are some materials, specifically the swimming nets that we lay out for the supervised swimming areas during the summer. There's also at least a few $1,000s worth of just general upkeep and medical supplies as well that are needed. Currently, there is no appropriation for either the materials and supplies or the contracted services line. So we gamed out the entire beach season, determined what the total amount of payroll we could plausibly expend. That was a little under $71,000. So we took the difference between that and the total appropriation, which currently is $80,000. Took that $9,000 and then split it up between the two other budget lines under the beach that we felt we would certainly need to charge certain expenses to over the course of a year.
Why would the temporary payroll go down? Are we on pace to have lifeguards ready for the summer beach season?
We are. Yeah, we've been in contact with several. We are starting the process of submitting the necessary paperwork through the civil service system, and we anticipate to have a full complement of lifeguards available for the beach opening the 3rd week of June.
Now, why do we even need these nets? Because there's such a small area that they clue in. My understanding is you can't even really go above your navel when you're swimming in. These nets are the things that go out in the water, right? They're like the buoys that mark where you can swim for the lifeguards.
That's correct. In prior years, there have been specifically regimented supervised swimming areas with lifeguard stands. That is where the nets come in. This year, at the request of both the mayor and the council, we have adjusted the beach safety plan that we are submitting to Clinton County to accommodate. We'll certainly still have those supervised swimming areas, but we are requesting, similar to the way that the state runs their beach right next door, a buffer zone outside of those supervised swimming areas beyond which patrons could swim at their own risk.
Good.
I am so happy to hear that, Matt. The beach is a lot more fun when you can swim at, at your will.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that'll, that's an ongoing discussion with the health department, but we're hopeful that we can reach an accommodation with them.
I don't see
There's
why
some
not.
beautiful stretch of beach beyond where those buoys are typically set up. I mean, we have such a large stretch of beach, and a lot of that is unused. So
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Me too.
Any further discussion on this? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Sorry, I just lost my track here. 3.2. Okay, item 3.2, draft resolution authorizing budget adjustment to the rec complex fund, budget for building demolition, page 8. Motion by Councilor Canales, second by Councilor Gibbs. Discussion.
Yes, could we get an explanation on this?
Sure,
What
this has
is,
been, yeah, absolutely. This has been an ongoing conversation that I've had with probably all of you on a multiple number of times regarding the Anderson building. That's the derelict building with the hole in it in the roof that has been sitting on the beach property for several years now, vacant, unused, and quite frankly, a horrible eyesore to the beach. There's been enough number of beach initiatives as previously outlined, including cleaning up the beach, fixing the bathhouse, putting the bathhouse in order, cleaning off the trails, fixing up the boardwalk, expanding the dog park. I got to give Councilor McFarland a shout out on that one. And just general maintenance of the vendor building as well, rebuilding or fixing the bathroom in the vendor building. And this is part of that whole package of fixing up our beach to be presentable and prepared for the 2021 season.
So fixing the bathroom in the vendor building, is that what you said?
Correct.
So what is going to happen with the other two bathhouses? You've got that big one that I don't think has been used for years. And then the other bathhouse that has, I think there's there used to be an outside shower head.
So that is the bathhouse that we've been referring to.
Okay.
The men's women's bathhouse, they call it the north side of the beach or the south side of I don't know which side it is actually the east and west side of the beach. So the bathhouse that the 2-person bathhouse, which is quite, it's quite a distance down the boardwalk, the concrete walk there, which is the furthest west side of the beach bathhouse. That's the newer one, if you will, and that one is getting repaired and is in the process of getting repaired, painted, and prepared for the season, including the shower heads on the outside. The vendor building has a handicap bathroom that we will be repairing. We'll also have porta-johns at the facility at the beach as well that will be maintained by a third party, and those are already under contract and ordered. I will be coming back to this council to ask for more funds to demo the northern bathhouse, which is the bathhouse all the way to the east. That bathhouse, look, quite honestly, I invite any one of you to go out there and walk through it. It's covered in pigeon poop. All of the fixtures, all these ceramic fixtures are broken. It's graffitied, and it's just, everybody on here knows it's, again, one of those like eyesores on the beach. And so right now we're doing some asbestos testing on the tile, getting a quote for removal of that building as well. both the Anderson building and that facility, well, I should say, the Anderson building has electricity to it. And so what we're going to do is we'd like to demo the Anderson building and keep the concrete pad and put a stanchion out there for electricity so that we can host events at the beach lawn, I'm calling it. There's really no name to it, but that's like the green space, the grass area in the middle, right behind the Crate Center. And then the other bathhouse, the northern bathhouse, the eastern, the big blue one, that has both water and electricity to it, which will retain for future development on that concrete pad as well. But this is the funding to remove the Anderson building.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Let's see, item 3.3, draft resolution authorizing budget adjustment to rec complex fund for beach implementation plan. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Canales. Discussion. Again, as many of you know, and if you've been in my office, you've seen this binder, which is a 2016 feasibility study performed by Saratoga and Associates as part of an ongoing effort to develop and identify development opportunities at the beach. That plan alone was developed in partnership with a number of community members based on community input. It consolidated, I think off the top of my mind, about 11 different plans regarding the beach development. And at this time, we are engaging Saratoga and Associates to put an implementation plan together to execute the plan most voted on and most supported, which is a return to recreational space of that plan. They are looking at a number of options to just go through that plan and see what's feasible based on a number of other other initiatives that Matt and his office have been doing. Any questions, further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? 1 to the negative. Item 3.4. Oh, sorry. Item 3.4. Authorizing service agreement to create implementation plan for beach complex improvements. Again, this is authorizing the agreement that we just approved funding for, or approved the draft resolution to fund. Any further discussion? I'm sorry, I need to take a motion. Motion by Councilor Canales, second by Councilor Gibbs. That was the discussion. Again, it's the actual signature of the agreement to implement the plan for the improvements. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 3.5, draft resolution approving a license agreement for the Plattsburgh Farmers and Crafters Market, pages 13 through 27. Motion. Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Canales. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 3.6, draft resolution approval of Mohawk sculpture and interpretive panel at Harborside, pages 28 through 36. Take a motion, Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Canales. Discussion.
Yes, I read this over and it
Yeah.
looks fantastic.
Absolutely.
I'm really very grateful for everyone who came together to do this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that when it's completed. I looked at all the plans. It looks beautiful. So is Milena here?
Melina is on the line.
Hello.
Hi, Milena. Would you be willing to just give us a quick overview? I mean, I read the documents, but is there anything that you wanted to add in regards to how this came about and now it's in its implementation phase?
Sure. So I was approached by the Outside Arts Group, who's working with the Clinton County Historical Association, and also Miss Penny Kloot, who is an attendee tonight. And if you want like really specific details, we'll have to pull her over. She's here to speak about that. But anyway, so I was approached by them. They are looking to place a Mohawk sculpture down at Peace Point Park in Harborside. It's really beautiful. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the renderings of it, but they're hoping to get grant funding to get this completed by August, I believe. And I'll just add that it's very much in line with what we're hoping to achieve down at Harborside. Unfortunately, it's in front of the master planning effort, but it's in line with past planning documents that have been around Harborside, and also in line with what we're looking for down there, which is to improve all of the public space, which includes Peace Point Park. So yeah, we're really excited about it. The reason they're here in front of you tonight is because the city will actually take ownership of the sculpture and help maintain it. So to get the grant funding, they need to have an okay from the city to be able to place the sculpture on city property at Peace Point Park. And if any more specific details you'd like about the sculpture, like I said, Miss Kloot is here on the call.
Melena, how do I pronounce that?
There is a pronunciation on the sheet. Hold on, let me pull it up. I can't say from the top of my head.
Genta.
Did someone just say it? I heard someone say it.
Genta.
There you go. That's it.
Thank you, Mike.
That's on page 35. Genta.
Thank you, Milena.
You're welcome.
The question I have about, or the concern I think that I certainly have is the ongoing maintenance by the city. Can you just outline that, please?
Sure. So, I mean, I think it's going to be pretty low maintenance. What they're suggesting as far as installing the sculpture is ground mounting it into a gravel pit. So there shouldn't have to be too much, trying to mow around it situation. It is where those two sidewalks converge on the way to the Compass at Peace Point Park. So I know obviously it's in a green space that may take a little more maintenance to go around it, but I don't think it's going to be too much more work for DPW. As far as longevity of the sculpture, it is a clay sculpture, and I don't really know the lifespan of that and when it would start to deteriorate. I'd assume we'd have at least 5 to 10 years before it starts to, show some signs of wear. And at that point, I think it would really be up to the city if they'd like to, go back to Plattsburgh art project and ask them to come and fix it, or we could actually remove it. So the MOU outlines that option for the city.
And has DPW been involved in these discussions?
They have not yet. I asked the art project if they were going to be taking care of installation and all of that, and they said yes. So they aren't looking to the city to actually install anything. As far as safety is concerned, I put something also in the MOU that outlines that they need to ensure that, the safety of the sculpture and that it's mounted properly. And, maybe we could ask DPW if they could come and inspect it just to make sure. But no, I have not reached out to DPW yet. But as you know, they have infinite resources and they can do all of these projects for us.
Sounds to me like you're going to transfer to that department. Sorry, folks, a little inside joke between CDO and DPW. Okay, any further discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Melina. All right, folks, is there any new business to come before this committee?
Mayor, I wanted to add one thing, that question that you had about the summary numbers on the financial statement.
Yeah.
When you look at the totals reports, where it says property tax 11,568,000 or whatever it is, versus the actual property taxes we're going to collect of 11,365,000. The summary lines include not just the property taxes for property tax items, but also all of the pilots, all of the omitted taxes, all of the interest and penalties. So that number will always be higher than where we are year to date on the collections. So it just doesn't show the property taxes themselves, but for this year, of course, it is 11,365,000, and that's basically what we booked when we put together the property tax bills. So that just clarifies that question you had.
Thanks, sir. Any further new business to come before this committee?
Yeah, I'd like to bring up, it was brought to my attention recently that the playground at the Hamilton Park has been taken down.
Oh, yeah.
For a good reason, due to safety issues with the playground. To me, this is an example of a big issue we have in the city. I've been making an effort to try to make it to all of our parks in the city this spring. I haven't been to all of them. One of the ones I hadn't been to until today was Hamilton Park. That's a very small park, but it did have a playground in it. And most of the counselors know my thoughts on that. Every neighborhood in the city should have a playground where young kids can walk to and enjoy. So I am bringing it up now because I hope that the council will be able to find money to replace that playground. And I do also want to add some other playgrounds around the city. That's no news to most of you, but I went to South Acres Park. The playground there seems in pretty good shape, but it's pretty old. And I would like to get a plan, and I know the mayor's office has been working on this with the community development office.
Yeah.
Getting a plan together as what
Yeah.
to fix up our parks and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for Patrick. And we want to do it right. If I don't want a knee-jerk reaction to this, I don't want to push something that's not ready. Many of you saw the video that I posted regarding Hamilton Park because I get a little emotional about this, but because that's what our parks look like. That's what our parks looks like. And if we as elected officials and community leaders and citizens of our city, this fantastic city that we choose to live here, we choose to serve, and we also, investment in our parks is investment into our people. It's into our kids and our quality of life and retaining people, keeping people here, attracting people. Not only just the residents, but businesses. People, businesses come and they move to places that are attractive to other people. And yeah, our parks are in rough shape, right? Our parks are in rough shape. So we have an opportunity to take a look and, seriously reflect on where we want to invest and put our monies. And, Matt and his team have been putting together a very comprehensive parks report. And, it outlines all the amenities that we have, every single park that we have, the location, the concerns, takes pictures of each park. And, it's currently in draft form, but, I'm hoping to get that out sooner than later. And I've been pressing, certainly been pressing Matt and his team to put this together and to get it out because it's important. And you will see Hamilton Park. I got phone calls, emails, Facebook messages, text messages. Hey, what the heck is going on over here? What are you doing with this park? And, I went out there and I did a video, and it's heartbreaking, quite frankly, to see, a park in the middle of a fantastic neighborhood with no amenities for the kids. And as I was leaving, doing that video, couldn't have been no more than 8 or 9 years old, young kid comes up to me and says, "Hey, what's going on with the park?" Yeah, so it's heartbreaking, right? And yeah, we have to do better, right? We just have to do better. So when that report comes out, it'll be shared, and and I know that every single one of you are just dedicated to the city. And once you see it, we'll work together on a path forward. And You know, that's not the Hamilton Park is not the only park that lost playground equipment this week. And it lost equipment because it's dangerous, right? I'm not going to put miles on that slide. I'm not going to put miles on that swing or those, you know, that playground equipment. And I wouldn't expect any other parent to put their kid on that equipment either. So, but it's you know, yeah, I don't know. I keep talking about it. All right. Thanks, Patrick. I appreciate that. Any further business to come before this council, the committee?
Yeah, well, the only other thing that I noticed when going around and looking at parks is the biggest thing of disrepair that I've seen are fences.
Yeah.
At South Acres Park, checking out the baseball fields. Those fences could use work, especially around the dugouts. At Melissa Penfield Park, especially the dog park there, the fence on the south side of the dog park there is falling over almost. I think that's because the frost is ejecting the concrete. But I think we're going to have to come up with a bit of money to repair a lot of the fences around our parks.
Yeah. Sorry, I did want to clarify something. I'm not, you know, when I said I'm waiting on Matt or Matt in his office is doing it, I'm not putting any like blame or delay on Matt. They've been fantastic to work with. All the department heads, by the way, have been just like bend over backwards. What can we do for the city kind of mentality. So I didn't want to say, hey, Matt, we're waiting on you for something. But this is, you know, this is a team effort. And I do appreciate the work that he's been doing up there with his team. So I know, Matt, you're online right now. So, but that's it. That's where we're at with this. Any new business to come before this committee? And then also, as just a reminder, folks, we do have a legal meeting after this on a separate Zoom link. And we're going to exit this, but I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilor Canales, second by Councilor McFarland. All in favor? Carried. All right. Good night, folks. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate your time.